Control.
Your on-air automotive magazine with co-hosts Fred Staab and Les Jackson.
Control.
Everything you need to know about new and used cars.
Control.
Industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air.
Control.
Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin.
Control.
Because you're on Cruise Control. Cruise Control. Cruise Control.
And welcome to Cruise Control, everyone. This is your on-air automotive magazine. You know us. I'm Les Jackson. That guy smiling over there is Fred Staab. And we're here each and every week just dishing out all of the information going on with the auto industry. No shortage of it, and we'll just start right now. What do you think, Fred?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to start, Les. And we've got some news from Honda, and they are going to be bringing back one of their most popular vehicles, and that is the Honda Civic. They kind of announced their plans for the next few years, and we're going to tell you all about them.
Absolutely. And Stellantis reveals its battery electric platform that can underpin just a whole bunch of different vehicles. It's the same platform, kind of a plug and play for the model you put on it.
Yeah, pretty cool. They used to call that the skateboard, and it's kind of like a skateboard. So we'll tell you about that. And another interesting story: Volkswagen is celebrating 75 years in the U.S. That is big history there, and we'll talk a lot about it, how they got started, and all of the cool stuff, how it started. Yeah. Pretty amazing how it grew into what it is now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk tech this hour. This time, a Harvard researcher says they've cracked the solid-state battery puzzle. That's the holy grail right now. If they get this figured out, which I think largely is figured out, and cost-effective, this is going to be a big deal.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will, because you'll have recharging, and it will be, 10-minute recharging. Pretty cool. We're also going to have an at-the-wheel review of the Mazda CX-9 in that beautiful soul red color. Mm-hmm. So that is coming up on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine, and a whole lot more, too, because we always like to pack it in here. It's a lot going on. We're also going to run down the IC Cars 10 best cars for the money, and that is good information if you're looking for a new car.
Always good to know.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what we like to do here on Cruise Control, give you plenty of information and just good automobilia information. That's all there. So Fred Staab and Les Jackson. And Les, you sent me a picture of you driving a Ford Cobra. We'll have to ask you about that in a little bit.
That's right. Well, a little bit poor weather conditions.
Yeah, not ideal Cobra weather conditions.
No, this is not something the car was designed for.
All right. Well, we will be right back with Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Stay tuned.
Cruise Control.
Welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staab and Les Jackson. We start this week, Les, with kind of Honda laying out their product plans, their outlook for 2024 and beyond. And American Honda finished up 2023 with 1.3 million vehicles sold, up 33% over year over year, which is pretty good. And they're looking to build upon that. Some of the things they're going to do, Acura will begin sales of the all-new, all-electric ZDX SUV in early 2024. And the MDX SUV, the brand's best-selling model, will get a significant update. And then over at Honda, they're bringing back in 2025 the Civic Hybrid, which they say will comprise 40% of Civic sales. This is another great vehicle. I'm sure it's going to do really well with mileage and be a great little vehicle, don't you think?
It's maintained its kind of traditional look,
Yeah.
but it still looks, up to date.
Yeah. And they haven't had that in their lineup for a while, have they?
No, it's funny.
So it's good to see the hybrid coming back. The whole Civic lineup will receive styling and feature enhancements for 2025. And it will be a Civic Hybrid for both the sedan and hatchback models. Great little commuting car for sure. Right?
Yeah. Civic is another one of those models that's been around for decades and decades.
The Prologue, which is their all-electric car, will focus sales on California and zero-emission vehicle states. And markets like Texas and Florida. Nationwide rollout will follow. And then the Odyssey, their minivan, will receive styling and technology enhancements to maintain its competitiveness. So they're also looking at getting into a hydrogen-powered vehicle too. So they're looking for the future. It's interesting. The Prologue, a lot of people are talking about what will that look like. Honda, they're also looking at a Prologue CRV fuel cell vehicle with so I think that will be interesting to see what they do with that as well. But I'm excited about the Civic Hybrid. I think that is. We talked about these as bridging vehicles to the electric future, and I think this could be a good one. Another interesting thing about Honda this week, they're going to release a update for 2018 to 2022 Accords. You and I like the Accord. Mm-hmm. That will allow wireless Apple CarPlay, and I think this is a dealer upgrade. Just because of the electronic nature of it, it's not easy to upgrade. It has to be done at the dealer.
That's a lot of people want that.
Well, I was looking back at the comments. Remember we were talking about GM wanting to get rid of Apple CarPlay and Android Auto?
Right.
And we got several comments like, why would GM do that? We like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Why? It is a big mistake. I think it's going to go down as one of the biggest mistakes ever. I really think they're making a bad move, and it's basically GM wants to get rid of it so they can charge you a fee to use their system and make additional money.
Which you won't do. You'll use your own Apple CarPlay or Android Auto.
Well, GM says, it's distracting. I find it not distracting at all. I can listen to texts. I can send texts. I can do navigation and Bluetooth play. I don't think anyone's buying it. And I almost think now Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, you have to have them in a vehicle, and good for Honda to update the 2018 to 2022 Accords with the wireless, because wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is incredible. You can have the phone in your pocket and it works. It just appears when you get in the car. So I'm a big fan of it. So good news. If you have one of those vehicles, you might be getting news of an update. Now, a little bit bigger update has to come from Stellantis, and that is their platform for EVs, When we come back, we're going to tell you about it. It is the STLA large platform that can be used to underpin a number of electrical vehicles. When we come back, we'll tell you what the plans are over at Stellantis. So stay tuned to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. We'll be right back.
Cruise control.
Welcome back to Cruise Control. And of course, we have never-ending stories to cover outside of Honda, which of course, and Apple CarPlay, which we've just gone through, and we had a discussion off during the break about why would anybody not put those in a vehicle, but that's what it is.
Yes.
Moving on.
Yes. Big announcement from Stellantis this week, right?
Yeah. Big announcement. They've got their BEV Native. Is that good enough?
I think it's
Native.
BEV native.
Native. Well, is it native? No, that doesn't make sense either. It's the STLA large platform.
Yeah.
Let's see, Stellantis. Never. Anyway, and the thing has an 800-kilometer range, which is 500
miles. Yeah.
And the flexibility to cover, as they say, a wide spectrum of vehicles. I think probably nearly everything they make.
Yes, and it is battery electric mainly, but it can also be used with an internal combustion engine as well.
As a hybrid, yeah.
Yeah. So it can be one platform, can be a passenger car, crossover, off-road, 4x4, minivan. It can be front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, low. I mean, this is the underpinning of the future of Stellantis, large Stellantis vehicles. And, it's pretty amazing that when you think about it, that they can build anything off of this. And this is how manufacturers make efficient vehicles as far as, cost efficient and, not incredibly expensive, although that's relative these days. But this platform, the STLA, is going to underpin many of their reveals for the future, and it's completely flexible.
Yeah, it's just so efficient if you can do that.
Yes.
Rather than making a different platform, which is all the engineering is in the platform.
Yeah.
That's everything: the drivetrain, the suspension, the electrical system, just you name it, the safety systems, and the box that goes on it is relative to that stuff is the cheap part. And if you can make one or two basic components, then you're way ahead of the game, because it's pretty easy to engineer the boxes that go on it to fit.
Yeah.
So that's great. I love that sort of engineering. It's hard, but it's extremely clever.
Yeah, and it seems to leave all options open for them. So we will be telling you about future vehicles that are based on this STLA platform, because it's got a lot. And, it's kind of hard for them, I guess, to give range. They do, because you don't know what body you're going to put on there, what the aerodynamics are,
right,
or the weight or anything like that. But I could see this down the line at SEMA shows, where imagine if you could build a platform that had the powertrain in it. It had a wheelbase that you could just adjust by moving the wheels back and forth in like holes.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine that. Like you could just, well, I need a 111-inch wheelbase. Okay, so you move it back 3 holes in the front and 2 and forward 2. What about that, Les?
I believe me, if the manufacturers could do it, they would love to do it. The interesting thing I find about this platform is that the ground clearance can be adjusted for whatever they're going to put on it between 5.5 inches and 11.3 inches.
So this could underpin a large SUV or even a pickup truck in the future.
Or a Jeep. Yeah.
As that is in their portfolio. Yeah. I just find it pretty amazing.
It's this is the beauty of engineering, of computer design, where you can just test this stuff in a quick or test the idea in a quick manner. Just really cool.
Yeah, cool stuff. And we'll be seeing a lot of vehicles, as I said, based on this. So we will keep you up to date on it. Next up, wow. Well, this is a big story, and we'll start talking about it now. But Volkswagen, 75 years in the U.S., 75th anniversary. It was 1949 when they were imported. And it was the beginning of
2 of them or so.
Yeah, I think 2 of them came in.
Yeah.
And there's one being brought in. And then it went on from there. As long as I can remember, Volkswagens were around. I just think of them all the time.
Did you ever own one?
I never owned one. I never drove an original Bug, but I would like to. I almost owned a GTI. I went to buy one.
Oh well, you should have bought that.
Yeah.
My last year in high school, my uncle had a '55 Bug,
Mm-hmm.
and his family couldn't fit in it, so he sold it to me. And I didn't really like it very much. It was, kind of primitive. And it was, it had seen better days, but it was an interesting experience. The engineering of it was fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And the engine, actually, the crankshaft broke.
Oh,
but
boy.
I drove it for 40 miles getting home with the crankshaft broken.
That must have made some
split.
interesting sounds.
A very loud sound. And I rebuilt it and drove it for another 6 or 8 months, and then another guy that my father knew wanted to buy it, so he bought it. But it was I knew that the car was going to be pretty noticed. It already was at that point, but it didn't create the 60s. The 60s created the Beetle.
Well, why was it so
culture.
popular in the 60s? Because it was affordable.
Because it was cheap. It was $1,900 at the most, and young people jumped. The whole new generation jumped toward it because it wasn't the establishment. It wasn't what the parents were driving.
And
they were very, very cheap, pretty reliable.
And it did what it was supposed to do. It just moved you around.
Great in the snow.
Yeah. Wow, I never drove an original one, but I'd like to. I'd like to.
No power.
I do like the modified ones where they lower them down and they power them up. I mean, power's relative. If you're starting with how much power did they have? 50 horsepower?
Oh no! Back then it was 32 horsepower.
Okay, there you go.
and then it became 36, and
That was the hypo version.
that was the hypo. Yeah, it was a long time before they got up close to 100.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what kind of power levels, like if you really hot rod them, you can pull
I
out
think
of it.
up to about 200. They can't be air cooled, in that configuration.
And there's just not enough displacement. There's not enough
enough
air
air.
you can move. Yeah, yeah. So interesting stuff. We'll talk a little bit more about Volkswagen and its 75th anniversary and how they're going to celebrate when we come back on Cruise Control.
There's something very dangerous. Cruise Control.
And welcome back. Welcome back to Cruise Control. Well, Fred, back to Volkswagen momentarily.
Yeah.
You asked me during the break, when is that that retro VW bus going to come to America? And the answer is, I have no idea, but I think it'll be here this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw one in the UK and up close, and it was pretty cool.
It's cute. It's
just
really
to
cute.
recap, 49 Dutch businessman Ben Pan arrived in New York with 2 Volkswagen Type 1 vehicles. He struggled to sell them initially, and then it just kind of caught on. The Beetle, the bus, all the way, Rabbit, Jetta, GTI, all the way up to the Atlas today. And they're going to celebrate the 75th anniversary with a new campaign that highlights key moments and the cultural impact in the U.S. We talked a little bit about that during the 60s. They were everywhere. And they're going to do this during the Super Bowl, believe it or not. Not a lot of manufacturers are in the... No, I don't think any U.S. manufacturers are in it. So it's all going to be European and Korean advertisers doing this. But just think about the Jetta, the GTI, further down the line. Really, there's a lot of iconic stuff. And I do love the old Beetle with the steel wheels and the little hubcaps.
They were rugged little cars. I was not aware that VW built their first plant in the U.S. in Pennsylvania, Westmoreland, Pennsylvania, in 1978.
And that was for Rabbits, right?
For Rabbits, yeah.
Very, very interesting. Rabbit
That was
GTI.
one of the best. Brock Yates wrote one of the best reviews of the Rabbit because it was the same car as the Audi Fox. And he said the Rabbit is a fox in Wolfsburg clothing. Which clever.
Yes, and of course the Golf, today's Rabbit.
Right.
Rabbit was only a New York, and remember they brought the Rabbit name back for like 1 year. Remember that?
Yeah.
Which I thought was bizarre. But, the GTI, because we no longer get the regular Golf, is built in Wolfsburg once again. So, exciting stuff. But there you have it. So we'll be looking for those campaigns. And I'm sure the van is coming here soon. It looked good. The one I saw was in yellow and white. The ID Buzz.
Yep.
I love the split. Talk about split windows. I like the split window.
That was quite a split window. My 55 was not. It had the same size window, but it wasn't a split window.
It was the oval, that little oval.
and you still couldn't see out of it.
It's got all about looking cool. It's not about
Oh,
seeing out of
yeah,
it.
that was, and by the way, mine for some reason had red leather interior.
Was that a custom thing that somebody did?
No, I think they were available in Germany, and one of the servicemen brought it over.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I kind of like that. A red interior in a little Volkswagen. It's kind of
yeah.
cool. It's kind of cool. Well, there you have VW celebrating 75 years in the U.S. And of course, they have a big plant in Chattanooga now. Hey, let's. You want to talk a little tech? Over to Harvard.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anytime Harvard um, has something interesting to say, why not listen? I mean, sometimes they're right.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably something you read a lot. It was
Yeah.
research published in Nature Minerals. Xin Li, an associate professor of materials of science at Harvard, says lithium metal anode in solid-state battery provides 10 times the capacity of commercial graphite anodes, making lithium metal anode batteries the holy grail for automotive use. But there's a problem, Les.
Well, always.
Solid-state batteries have seen a lot of development and rapid acceleration of technology, but one of the biggest problems is dendrites.
Yes.
Dendrites can build up on the surfaces of the lithium surface like roots during the charging process, and of course can eventually lead to battery failures like shorting or catching fire. Well, the researchers at Harvard have found ways to control and restrict dendrites, but the Harvard researchers have now managed to stop them completely. They deploy micron-sized silicon particles where the ions attach during charging, preventing them from penetrating further. And it means that it can lead to quicker charging, 10-minute charging recharge times, longer range, and they have cycled this battery 6,000 times, and it retains 80% of its capacity. So you think about that. A 500-mile range battery cycled 6,000 times. You're good at math. How many miles is that?
Well, figuring let's say it's just charging. It's 50% charged each time, so that's 6,000 times 300 miles.
Okay.
18,000, 180,000 miles.
So that's the life of a vehicle. Easily.
Pretty much.
I mean, any vehicle that's at 180,000 miles is going to need some.
Well, it's time. It probably needs attention.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty incredible, isn't it?
It is. The charging of a battery is a pretty intensive. Current density is very intensive. It's like, it's like being beaten up.
I find interesting that a lot of these solid state batteries, they're using 10 minutes as like the level of charging. I guess it's a little bit longer than filling your gas tank, but would people be happy with that, or they say nope, it needs to charge up full in 5 minutes?
10 minutes is very reasonable, because if you're on a trip and you're stopping anytime, you're going to be stopping for fuel and a bathroom break and maybe some coffee, maybe a snack.
Right. So
you're going to be there 10 minutes.
Yeah, and back to Volkswagen. Volkswagen was saying that's fine, and we might not even need 700 miles of range. We might just keep at 350, 400, which is up at the upper end of internal combustion car range now anyway, right?
Yeah. It's coming, but
it's not quite here yet.
Everything is kind of at a flat stage at the moment.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about a new IC car study because we always like that, and they have a lot of great information. iccars.com. The new cars, the 10 best cars for the money. Right, IC Cars named Mitsubishi Mirage as its best new car for the money. That the car costs just about $1,099 per 10,000 miles to own. And its $18,991 average new car price makes it one of the cheapest cars on the market. So they run them down. The cars, the 10 best new cars for the money. Number 10 is the Toyota Prius.
Yep.
The Mazda 3. The Honda CR-V.
Mm-hmm.
The Nissan Versa, which is also an inexpensive car. Toyota Camry. The Honda Civic at number 5, Honda Accord at number 4, Subaru Impreza. A lot of people don't think about this, but it's an all-wheel drive car too.
No, it's funny. And, the Crosstrek is built on the same platform.
Yep. Toyota Corolla, number 2, and of course the Mitsubishi Mirage. Which are they still going to build the Mirage? I'm not sure. After this year.
No, not.
Okay. But the Impreza is one to watch because, as I said, out of it's all-wheel drive, which not a bad thing to think about. So I know somebody.
It's dog-friendly.
I know somebody that went to a Subaru dealer, and they're like, well, get the Crosstrek. Nobody wants sedans. That's what they told the person buying. So
Yep, same platform.
Hey, when we come back, I'm going to have an at-the-wheel review of the Mazda CX-9. So stay tuned to Cruise Control. We'll be right back.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staab, Les Jackson. We are all here, and we love to do at-the-wheel reviews. And this time around, it is the Mazda CX-9, their big 3-row SUV in soul red crystal metallic. Red. Man, that is a popular color in the Mazda lineup. It is basically candy apple red. It's a tint coat, so tinted clear coat, and it is worth the extra money that you pay for it because it looks great. I mean, it is I think $500 and some odd. Believe it or not, I can't make it out on my Monroney because it's kind of funky the way it's printed, but it's hard to see. But let's talk about this. Kind of a chocolate leather on the inside, some very ornate stitching, some white piping, kind of a mix of materials. There's some wood, nice real wood trim on the center console and little bits of it on the doors. I like that there were metal controls, brush kind of aluminum controls for the seat. You've got that real wood there on the center console. Out back, you have captain's chairs with a large console in the center. They're very similar in stitching to the front seats. No real wood trim in the back seat passengers, though. They have to rough it without that. Got some good connectivity in the center console with a couple of USB connectors, a USB-C and a USB-A. You got your heated seats, multi-level heated seats for the rear passengers, which is great. Piano black, of course, on some of the trim. So kind of a mix of a lot of different trims and finishes. There is a usable third row seat with slide seats. Also got some connectivity back there and some cup holders. Much more usable third row. Out back, good storage, of course, like any three-row SUV. If the rear seats are up, third row seats, you don't have a heck of a lot of storage. But when you put them down, the storage gets pretty good with the third row folded, and you can easily fold it here with folding capability right on the back of the seat. We found that there was an actual compact spare in here, which is good news if you're looking for that. Fold those rear seats down, and you got pretty good storage, although not completely flat. The Mazda has, as a brand, really tried to up the interior quality, and this is no different with this one. This is the Signature Edition. This has a Sky Active 2.4-liter turbo engine with a sport mode, 277 horsepower, not bad, and all-wheel drive. Sky Active turbo engine. Big vehicle to be powered by a 2.4-liter turbo, but it gets on down the road just fine. So real premium feel to this Signature Edition. There are a lot of different editions of this vehicle. Overall score, 5-star crash rating, which is really great. Ours did not have a lot of options other than the Soul Red Crystal, but it comes very, very well equipped at the Signature level. LED headlights, four-wheel disc brakes, independent front and rear suspension, 10.25 color center console display, a second-row window sunshades, auto-dim rear-view mirror, wireless phone charger, Android Auto, and Apple CarPlay. So very well equipped. And the MSRP was $48,460 as tested, and the only option was that Soul Crystal paint plus delivery, which was $1,275, $50,330. This was replaced for the 2024 model year with the CX-90, which has a plug-in hybrid option and is just a new vehicle. But this one did 26 on the highway, 20 in the city, 23 for a aggregate number combined. So final assembly point for this is Hiroshima, Japan. Engine and transmission are from Japan. So if you go into your dealer and you're looking for a 2024 model, it will be the CX-90, and that will give you a couple of more options. Plug-in hybrid. Overall, quality piece, great interior, and as I say, Mazda has really upped the game when it comes to the quality of their interior. I do like the captain's chairs in the back. I think that is a definitely a nice setup when it comes to this large SUV. I've noticed too, and you know, when 3 rows came out, the third row was just like a jump seat. Not so much here in the CX-9. It is an actual usable adult-sized place to inhabit and easily accessed with that slide capability. So it's good stuff when it comes to the CX-9. Like I said, the CX-90 is the next version of this, and that would have a plug-in hybrid and available. These things are available in many different trims: Touring Plus, Carbon Edition, Grand Touring, and Signature. Just for note, the Signature starts at pretty much the same price, with $48,460. So they range from the CX-9 Touring, $38,750, all the way up to the CX-9 Signature, $48,460. That Soul Crystal Metallic does add $595, and if you want Machine Gray Metallic and Snowflake White Pearl, they all Machine Gray adds $595, and the Snowflake White Pearl Mica would add $395. But just remember, if you're looking for their big three-row SUV, it will be now known in 2024 as the CX90. So Mazda getting a little confusing with their delineation of their models, but there you have it. The CX9, now known as the CX90. Have you driven the big Mazda, Les?
I have not. No, I haven't.
Yeah, but you've got to have a 3-row if you're going to play in the.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Interesting transition for Mazda from the little sporty brand, Zoom, to, I think, kind of a higher end, trying to make that, carve out that market of higher end interiors, which is never a bad play because, let's face it, the interior is the user interface, and it is certainly what people are going to see most of the time. So definitely a transition to a luxury brand, and we'll see more from them in 2024 and future, in the future. I like the use of real wood. For the longest time, it's just been plastic, and it's a big step up, isn't it?
How did you experience the ride over rough surfaces?
I found this to be pretty good. It did not have the huge wheels on it, by the way, and I noticed today that GM is going to go up from 22-inch wheels to 24-inch wheels, and then 26-inch wheels. They can't even find tires to put on them.
No, that means low profile, hard rock jounce.
Jouncy.
Tires.
Yeah, so not good. But I did not experience jounce in the CX9 Mazda, so there you have it. Hey, we appreciate you listening to Cruise Control. I'm Fred Staab.
I'm Les Jackson.
We are going to see you down the road.